Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, thank you for always showing up for VM Nation. We love you guys. This is going to be an amazing episode. As you guys know, I spent 23 years in the military. My last deployment, I was QRF. So I'm all about what we're going to talk about today. We got two of my brothers on, and we're going to be talking about how to have a QRF for your business, because a lot of people want to do it alone, and we're going to show you how you actually can build your own fire team. So Shane, my brother, thank you so much. I'm so looking forward to this conversation. Guys, welcome to the show. How's everybody doing?
Doing great, brother. Appreciate it, man. We really appreciate being on the show today.
Yeah, doing excellent.
And Mitchell, it's a pleasure to meet you, man. I'm finally glad we finally get to chat and hang out. So Let me ask you guys a question, and we can start with Shane first, and then we'll go to Mitchell. What is your definition of resiliency?
Pretty simple. It's the capacity to, withstand or to recover when stuff comes your way, to have that kind of elastic kind of approach, that muscle memory. And I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times probably, is that life's going to punch you in the face, and it's what you do to get back up. And having that resiliency is the process of that. We're all going to go through failures, tons of failures before you get to success. And again, it's just having that capacity to take that on and to recover, and come back stronger than ever.
Mitchell, what's your definition of resiliency?
Yeah, very similar. It's the ability to adapt, recover, and bounce back from adversity. We as military veterans pride ourselves on being able to adapt to change and adversity. But those difficult situations involves, our capacity to overcome setbacks, knowing that our comeback is always going to be better than our setback. So whatever stress, trauma we go through, we're going to regain the state of well-being and stability.
Okay, now guys, if anybody's watching this, they would see all three of us. Oh, we're all successful. We got successful businesses. We got successful families and happy families. But they wouldn't realize how fucked up we were at one time. We all kind of got jacked up. And if we do curse on this show, this is okay, because this is a veteran-specific show. So, me, I have a brain injury, and I'm sure some of you guys have TBIs and concussions and stuff like that. So, we'll start with Mitchell. First of all, for somebody that don't know you, give us a quick down and dirty about who Mitchell is.
Well, top level, I'm regional managing partner for Jay Galt. We Shane and I were handpicked from Tim Brown for Stars Helping Heroes, and he's helping us basically set up our own business entities. But
number 81, Oakland Raiders.
That's right.
Yeah, buddy.
Heisman Trophy winner. And we've been talking a lot with Brandy Wells, who was his freshman roommate at Notre Dame. So I feel like I have to be a Notre Dame fan no matter what from now on. But I was Air Force for almost 8 years. I was medically retired in 2015, and then I worked for Special Operations Command for CENTCOM, SOCCENT, as well as Headquarters SOCOM as a contractor. And I still went downrange after that, but I had a Purple Heart from back in 2011, from when an EFP, explosively formed penetrating copper-plated IED, went through my vehicle, gave me a traumatic brain injury, scrunched me like an accordion, and cracked about 7 to 10 vertebrae, and had a long road to recovery, because actually I had a slot for AFIT, Air Force Institute of Technology, for a master's degree in operations research and data science before that injury happened. And my bosses were great, because they kept me on the down low, since I volunteered to go downrange with the Army, but I was Air Force. So the Air Force really didn't know about it. So they couldn't med board me right away. So they let me get to my next assignment before really telling the Air Force. And they're like, who are you? You got a Purple Heart? What's going on? And now you're at AFIT, So it was blessing in disguise, because a lot of those mental workouts, just like when you physically work out, you gain a lot of strength. that mental workout, as well as doing hyperbaric oxygen therapy every day, brought a lot of my cognitive senses back. So that traumatic brain injury has been a lot more sustainable now. So that's the quick and dirty about me. I'll let Shane get to himself now.
All right, Shane. So give us your quick down and dirty, bro.
You know, I'm a guy that's been blessed with a lot of opportunities. You know, I wanted to join the Army ever since I was 5 years old. Told my grandmother on a family trip that that's what I was going to do, and I was stone cold serious about it, and was always blessed with great opportunities while I was in. You know, when I when I was over in Europe, this would have been for the second time stationed in Germany. I got selected to be the Wounded Warrior liaison at Walter Reed to support. I was all of Army Europe was under my control there, and at the time, so I was a brand new E5, and Command Sergeant Major Savusa. Love this dude, huge Samoan guy that like his voice even when you talked on the phone, it would just your body would vibrate. That kind of guy, and he selected me for this position to go over and be the eyes and ears for himself and General David McKiernan at the time. And I learned so much from that. You know, being there with the wounded guys and making sure they're taken care of, because a lot of folks might remember there was a big scandal there at Walter Reed and they're mistreating soldiers and it was a bad deal. And the Army's quick QRF, if you will, at that time was to send a representative from every major command there. So I was blessed to have that opportunity and to help stand up what is now the Warrior Transition Battalions, Brigades. You know, it's grown so much from just those beginning days that I'm super proud of it. And then from there, it it got pretty interesting. I was hoping to go to Fort Campbell and go work for a 5th Special Forces group, and instead I got congratulations email sent to me that, hey, you're going to go be a recruiter for us. And I wasn't happy about that, to be honest. Wasn't happy at the time. I needed the Sergeant Major of the Army, Kenneth Preston, got on his calendar, and I thought, this is what it's going to be like to know somebody. You know, I mean, I'm finally going to cash in a blue chip here. And I got into his office, and within no time at all, found out that, yeah, he was helping me. He was helping me for sure. But he was on the phone with the Sergeant Major of the Minneapolis Recruiting Battalion, and he basically informed him that I would be the best recruiter he's ever had. So I I went right into recruiting and learned so much about myself. And you know, when you love something is so much as I did, you know, in the Army every single day I was there, it's pretty easy, you know, to speak with folks and be genuine about it. And that also was kind of a glimpse of my future too. You know, I was like, I want to help people. I want to help people, you know, get better. You know, show them that where they're at is not doesn't need to be the destination. You know, that they can strive for so much more. And I topped my career off in the special operations community, and was blessed to be assigned to 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta. And that was kind of my ultimate education there, is being around such high functioning folks that taught me so much. And I truly learned a lot from those guys. And that's really polished me into, you know, kind of what I do today. I've done a lot of consulting, a lot of business development. I've kind of made myself a niche in that arena. And to today, currently being an executive consultant at J. Galt Finance Suite and partnering up with Mitchell and showing, we're going to show the world that, you know, our vets that are out there, they're running businesses, that they're not alone. And the QRF is still here. And the QRF is not going to meet us at the gate 2.5 hours later either. We're gonna head this off and be there right away for you. And I'm just blessed. Like I said, so many opportunities I've had. You know, I call it luck sometimes. Call it what you want, but just blessed with the opportunities and the people, you know, ultimately that I've been able to rub shoulders with over the years.
Okay, so then let me ask you, how many years did you put in? And
so
why did you get out?
So I did 17 years, and I at the time when I was with the unit, I was chosen by the unit leadership to go be the special operations branch in SUIC at HRC, which is in Fort Knox, Kentucky. So they selected me to do this for a lot of reasons. One, I think they thought that I was polished enough. I used to do all the narrating for the retirement ceremonies and everything at Delta, a lot of them. And so I think they thought, like, we can send Schreck up there and he'll be able to articulate what we need and get it for us. And they're right. I mean, when I when I took this position, no other Delta guy had ever been in that position before, and I did. I went. I played in the gray a lot. I think, but ultimately, I was doing what was best for the unit and being their advocate, and everything's going great. And what caught up to me was a lot of injuries over the years. Finally, I guess jumping out of perfectly good airplanes isn't like so good on your body, apparently. And a lot of that caught up to me and ended up into a medical board and cut my career short. And instead of, again, like I said before, life punches you in the face. I could have stayed on the ground. I mean, I completely had lost my purpose at that point because being a soldier was everything to me. But I took it as a sign from God that He had bigger plans for me. And, fast forward to this day, I got a 4-year-old little boy named Gunnar James Schreck, and he is the light of my life. And everything does happen for a reason. And I'm just blessed to have had that 17 years with my brothers and sisters in arms.
Okay, so before we go on, I want to thank our sponsor because I want to dig deep because I think this is the part where most people struggle with is the transitioning part. So I want to really hammer down on that. But I want to thank our sponsor. As you guys know, I love my veterans, and one of my veterans and one of my best friends. If you guys ever go watch the History Channel, watch the show Forged on Fire, he was one of the contestants on Forged on Fire. And he made me this. I don't know if you can see that. It's actually a handmade Damascus knife. Now, he's also a veteran, and he makes handmade knives specifically for you, and they're all hand forged in his own hand making. So it takes a while to make knives like that. So, guys, if you want Father's Day, Christmas is coming up. If you want to get a hand forged knife from a veteran's hands making it, check it out down below at Mike's Damascus Knives. Check them out. Amazing. And again, it's a veteran. Also, guys, if you love to read, my book just hit the Amazon top 100 for the third time, 2-time bestseller. It's all about helping veterans struggling with PTSD and homelessness. I don't make any money off the coffee, the T-shirts, the hat, the swag, the books. Everything goes to help veterans and first responders. So, guys, if you love T-shirts, I got my own coffee. If you guys like to read, I got my own book while drinking your coffee. So check us out at verticalmomentumpodcast.com. And 100% of the profits go to help end veteran homelessness and veteran suicide. So, guys, thank you so much. All right, guys. So, as you guys know, I had 23 years in the military, got hurt, lost 80% of my vision. They med boarded me out. One day they told me I'm not Sergeant Kaufman anymore. That was the day that I attempted suicide because, well, if I'm not Sergeant Kaufman, I don't know who I am. I don't have any other identity. That was it. But now I'm doing what I do. So, guys, talk to us because, and I'm realizing this, that when a veteran joins the military, we don't realize that we have a shelf life. Whether that's 7 years, 7 months, 7 days, one day we're not going to be wearing a uniform anymore. And when we hang up that uniform for the final time, a lot of us get depressed. We get down. A lot of us end up like I did with a pistol in my mouth and a bottle of whiskey in my hand because I didn't know who I was and I didn't know where to go. Because like one of our friends, Sergeant Nick, talks about, when you step off base, Army or the military doesn't give a shit about you. Your phone stops ringing. You don't have money and you don't have a mission. So a lot of us end up in deep trouble. So talk to us about each of your military transitions. So Mitchell, go first. Talk about your military transition.
So it actually has a bit to do with Shane because, as he mentioned, he was a big part of setting up those warrior transition brigades. And so when I was wounded in 2011, it was 2013 and 14 that I actually was part of the U.S. Olympic Committee's Warrior Games for the Air Force. And that's basically was all set up by the things that Shane was doing back in, well, it was 2007, I believe. And they had come a long way since then. And I was lucky enough to be crowned the ultimate champion for both of those years too. The only Air Force veteran to do so at that time. So that alone was, pretty special on my way out. But, I was also on the Air Force triathlon team 3 years prior to being wounded, and I was the coach of it. And so I built my ideology on myself as an athlete. And it was after I was wounded, I still wanted to get back on that all Air Force triathlon team. And sure enough, I did. And it was through that schooling that I was still going through. I was able to train, 20, 25 hours a week through tremendous pain. And I got back on that team, and I was in one of the best shapes of my life, but it broke me because I realized the body was basically saying no more. So that's when I started to go through my medical board transition, is when I was in my next assignment as a data scientist, and just realizing that the body and the mind weren't connecting anymore. And it was hard. It was difficult to make that change, but then made it easier to know that I was going to become a contractor, working for SOCOM and SOCCENT. I'd still have that mission. But even so, going on missions with them and going overseas, we almost got blown up in Lebanon again. And, when ISIS was killing people in markets and all that sort of stuff, it made me realize that I can't really do this stuff anymore. And so, going to events like those Warrior Games and being around other vets who know what you might have been through, you get a feeling of sense of calm. So that's like, your QRF, they're there for you. You know that they don't have any preconceived notions. You're not going to get those spitball comments or anything to say, what's wrong with you today? It's like people just know. So they don't ask that question. They empathize with you right away. And that's really what Shane and I here are doing, in the fact that we are those people for transitioning business members, those who want to start a business. When you get into the cutthroat civilian sector, it's quite a bit different than when you're in the military. You don't have that top cover, and it's hard to know who you can trust. And being two guys rated at 100% disability, and have gone through, hell and high water in different capacities, we want to continue helping those folks because, I'm an ambassador for that Air Force Wounded Warrior program too. And, I get to live vicariously through others. And that's what I love about it, is that it's great if I succeed at something, but I get such a better feeling when I watch someone else succeed and be a part of it.
I love it. So Shane, talk to us.
Yeah. So transition, for me wasn't as smooth as I wanted to be. I did do myself some favors while I was at Fort Knox waiting to be processed and completed through my med board process. I actually went and saw 3 different therapists, and I did that with complete intention that I thought, I have to kind of reinvent myself now, and I knew that we'd always joke about we're out in the field and Grafenwehr and Hohenfels over in Germany, and we're like, hey, what are you going to do when you grow up, man? I was like, I don't know. What are you going to do when you grow up? Hey, we're going to have to get real jobs or something someday and figure this out. And you hit it, man. You hit it, Richard. You said that, that shelf life thing, that's complete reality. But the altered reality is that sometimes we felt like we're invincible, right? And that we didn't look at it that way. We didn't look. I mean, we seen. I mean, the sergeant majors and stuff that walking around, when I was private and stuff, to me seemed ancient. Like they were almost senior citizens, right? No, it's just what you look. That's what you look like once you've done so many years like that and beat your body up. But never was in our forefront that this is just temporarily. I mean, similar to how professional athletes, do. I mean, when they are over the hill, they're talking like 40 years old if unless you're Superman, Tom Brady, you're that's it. You're pretty much not any good anymore, and you got to figure out something else. Of course, their bank accounts are a little larger than most veterans that get out at that point. But for me, it was rocky. It was very up and down. Even with me being aware that losing my purpose was so dangerous, really. It was a dangerous time for me because I just kind of had to figure it out. And I decided when I got out that I didn't need to be on all this medication that they had me on. So I took myself off the medication and kind of coasted for a while. It was about 2019, August 2019. And at the time, I'd had a 4-month-old beautiful baby boy. And you'd think life was perfect. And it wasn't. It wasn't. I struggled a lot and completely just had an identity crisis completely. Like, what I was doing before while I was in was the most important thing I could be doing. I always felt that way. Like when I woke up in the morning to get my uniform on or go to work, I felt like there's nothing else more than I can do than this right now. So I'm going to just go to work and be the best I can possibly be. And then to have that snatched away from you, and in my case, a lot earlier than I anticipated, it just it had a darkness over me. And so in August 2019, I did attempt suicide, and luckily, I was not successful at that. Being that I've had a lot of success in my life, I am very happy that I was not successful there. And I remember sitting in the hospital thinking, like, what the heck am I doing? I got to get together. I got this little boy, how selfish, and all these things going through your head, like after the fact. But then I finally got to the root of it and was like, I just need to pick up from here. I've got punched in the face, and apparently I haven't got off the ground like I usually do, and I need to do that. And so I got back on the medication and talked to the therapist, did all the things that I needed to do, had that intention of getting better, and I'm a lot better, a lot better. I have dark days though still. I'm not going to be some voice that's out here saying like I'm so much better now, life's great, just I wake up every day and just the day is scared, shitless that I'm going to come after it. And that's not the case. There's some days that I don't want to get up and I don't want to deal with people or anything. And I'll put things off and I'll procrastinate, all these things that really aren't true characteristics of me, but it's kind of just comes with the territory and, what your current state of mental health is. And so it's for that reason alone that it'll always be a huge part of my mission personally to make sure that I make myself available to other veterans that are out there. And any speaking engagement that comes up, I'm all for it all the time to talk about mental health, and that it's a process and you got to keep fighting it. And it's not something you're going to try to go win. It's something, again, you got to build that elastic kind of muscle memory type. I can rebound from this. I can do this. I feel like this today, but tomorrow I can conquer the world kind of thing. And kind of, it's funny because I do a lot of motivational speaking, and sometimes I have to look in the mirror and give myself a motivational speech. It's like, even after some speech, sometimes I'll be on the way home and I'm like, got imposter syndrome because I'm just like, dude, you don't even believe in that stuff right now. Why are you telling other people that they need to go do this and they need to go do that? But it's just staying after it and knowing that there's so many folks out there, so many resources out there, and that, there's nothing else like your fellow brothers and sisters, veterans that have been through it or are going through it. Never feel like you're alone. Please don't ever do that, because I've been there before. I understand where the clouds get so dark you can't see, but there's light out there, and there's several folks that are ready to grab you up, and they got your six. So.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That imposter syndrome definitely is something we all think at times. Really, for me, it's cognitive dissonance. And that's basically where you have an idea yourself, but then it's different than what's actually putting into practice. So like you just said, Shane, I've got days where I don't want to get up. There's plenty that I just want to sleep all day, stay in bed, not talk to people. But, I still see myself as a hard charger and someone that can kind of conquer anything. So it's tough because the physical nature of that life is not the same as how I view myself. And that can make things even worse. So even just knowing that a lot of other people out there feel that same way is good to know. And I got rocked again real hard. Sorry, go ahead, Rich.
And like when I first started this podcast, I had, and I still have imposter syndrome. I still think, who am I to be interviewing, General Petraeus? Who am I, to be interviewing Mr. Mickey Rourke or the drummer for Def Leppard? Who am I to be doing this as a 9th grade dropout? But then, my mentor, Mr. Ed Milet, said, why not you? Instead of why not you? But, that's something you guys were talking about. And when I talked to General David Petraeus, I said, you guys train us to go to war, but you don't train us to come home, to fight the war that's within ourselves. And he said, yeah. And this was about 2 years ago. And he said, you know what? We're going to start working on that. So I think that's one thing is like, we don't know how to come home, because even no matter if even if you go on a peacekeeping mission, or if you go to any of the stands or Iraq, or, the person that jumps on that plane is not the same person that comes home on the other plane. Mm-hmm. Like my wife didn't realize how fucked up I was until we watched American Sniper, when Chris Kyle was sitting there watching the TV and it wasn't even on. And my wife said, I get it. I know now. And by the way, guys, it's the reason why I wear a hat on all the podcasts is not because I'm going bald, but I promised Chris Kyle's wife that I would wear a hat on any podcast that I do to honor her husband. So that's why I do wear the hat. So, and I've turned down being on a top 5 podcast because they wouldn't let me wear a hat. And I said, no, I promise I honored Chris's wife. So I'm not going to go on. But anyway, so guys, let's talk about, because, I hear a lot of, like you said, when you're in the field, you're like, bro, I'm going to get out of the military. I'm going to start a t-shirt company. I'm going to start a hat company, liquor, coffee. And then when they get out and they try to start a t-shirt company, hat company, liquor, coffee, I did them all except for liquor. And 99% of them fail because they don't have a QRF. So let's talk about, what your guys' experience is getting out of the military and then getting into the civilian world and then getting into entrepreneurship. So any of you guys can go first, whatever you want to talk about.
Go ahead, Mitchell.
All right. So, I've actually had to transition twice, actually, too. 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 melanoma cancer, and they were giving me a 7% chance to make it. And luckily now I've been over a year, almost 2 years, cancer-free. But I've also got another kidney tumor that they just took out. So they're talking about burn pits, being the reasons for that. And so I've had to basically come back into this where I'd had my own personal training business also for about 20 years. And I started learning these things from Tim Brown and company that I had no clue was even possible. Basically, when you build like an LLC or, your S Corp or C Corp, if you want to build your own business, a lot of that is still putting out a personal guarantee, putting it on your social security number. And that kind of negates that limited liability. You basically make your LLC liable at that point. And it's because it's how it's always done. I mean, we've got some executive vice presidents on board with Jay Galt that were in the banking industry doing $20 to $50 million loans all the time. And they didn't even know about this stuff. So 90% of businesses don't know, but this is how Wall Street operates. They operate by building a business credit foundation off their EIN number, their tax ID number. And that's something that is doable by yourself. You don't need help from somebody else, yet there's a lot of stuff to think about and worry about that we'll get into. And that's what the QRF really does. It minimizes that timeline, and it makes it so it takes all the guesswork out, and it allows you to run your own business instead of being in the business itself. So building that business credit profile helps protect your personal assets, so you're not going to be liable for things if the business fails. They say that 20% of all businesses fail within the first year, 30% of them 30% more by 5 years, and then there's only 30 or 20% left after 10 years. But the number one thing that they say is the reasoning for it is limited access to capital and cash. So if you don't have the ability to get bank loans or SBA loans, things of that nature, or you have to put your personal credit on the line and put your family and your assets, your cars, your bank accounts, all that at risk, it gets pretty discouraging. So that's a lot what we help do is we help build that business credit profile so that you can build it on an EIN number, taking away that tethering of business to personal assets. And again, like I said, 90% of people don't even know about it. So we like to, especially for our veterans and our service disabled veteran-owned small businesses, like we want to be here to get the word out. We want to have this be an informative format. It's more to us than some business suite. This is all about, giving the information, getting that out there so everybody knows the ability to do it and to basically protect themselves and their assets. Shane, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so me personally, when I really found myself in the business development niche that I was doing a lot of consulting for different companies, and I decided to launch a couple businesses of my own. One dealing specifically with trying to help veterans that were transitioning, and another one trying to place folks that were like veteran business owners came to me to try to get kind of talent management kind of consulting going. And so I did that. I created my LLCs, and there was so much that I didn't know, but I was one of these that had the passion and drive. Is I'm going to see it through no matter what's going to, no matter what happens. And the thing is what I feel like what we're trying to do as a QRF with Jay Galt is we're no different than anyone else that's out there trying to make its way through business. However, we are, because to understand each other as veterans do is there's nothing like it. And so what struggles I went through trying to get out of the gate and trying to make ends meet, and I sure as heck didn't understand the difference between your personal guarantee and actually having all of your credit and everything just off your EIN. I mean, that, in my mind, that was like only Walmart and people like that can do that stuff, not just some small business starting. But the bigger thing is that had I had another veteran really to sit there and mentor me, like Mitchell and I are trying to do for as many as we possibly can, it's different because we know the day-to-day struggles, and it's not always going to be, I mean, it's going to add up to, your cash flow problems. It's going to add up to not getting capital or just stretching yourself thin, because what a lot of people don't realize is by, creating an LLC, the reason you're doing that alone is to, to not get tangled up in liability. However, the majority of the people will go out then and make a personal guarantee on their financing, so that completely will void your liability on your LLC. And so many folks didn't know that. I sure as heck didn't know that. And again, I think it's been a calling for Mitchell and I both that we can go out, we can talk to any business owners. I mean, I'm not going to say just because you're not a veteran we can't talk to you or anything like that, but we are both driven by passion and purpose, and that's our fellow veterans. And that's why we've kind of created this QRF for veteran-owned businesses, because we can sit there and talk with you, and that we know what you're going through. We know the day-to-day, and that that the other person on the end, there's a lot of heart and a lot of love coming from them, because usually when you're dealing business to business, it's such a cutthroat deal. And Mitchell and I both have had enough experiences working with different corporations or different dynamics that, we're not impressed with how a lot of that goes. And it's a calling. It really is. It's a calling to make sure that we take care of each other, just like we did when we were in. Just because we hang the boots up and say goodbye in the rearview mirror, that shouldn't be the end of it. The beginning of it is this huge veteran, community that we have out here, and that now, Mitchell and I both have a very specific purpose, and that's helping out as many veteran-owned businesses as possible.
Yeah, so now, I want to add something to that, because, I've been doing this now. This is my third year in podcasting, and I always thought, I know that I don't know what I don't know, and I thought, because I'm disabled, I thought that I can't make over a certain amount of money, or else they're going to take my disability. Until I hired my business coach, and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, dumbass," he's like, "Why would you start an LLC? Let's sign you up." We signed up we started our S corp. But you don't know what you don't know, and a lot of times, like you said, people are just going to start a business, even if it is a t-shirt, company hat, or whatever it is, and then they're $10,000 in debt, and they don't know what the fuck just happened, because they don't know what they don't know, and they don't have guys like you, QRF. They don't know that you guys are out there. So that's why, I wanted to have you guys on. So talk about some of the pitfalls that new business owners, especially veterans, what are some of the things that they struggle right off the get? So I'll start with you, Mitchell.
Well, a lot of it is kind of based on the cognitive dissonance. You want to be the person you were before. You want to protect your family. You want to be responsible, have all your ducks in a row. But if you don't create a business plan, you're not going to be able to have the vision, the mission at hand. So having simple things like that, having the ducks in the row, to be able to weather any storm, adapting to adversity, having stuff like this where you're building business credit and having credit available to use, and not having to go to the banks to do a personal guarantee every time, gives you almost insurance on your company. Referring to others, our other brothers and sisters in arms, is a big thing too. Not just to me and Shane, but just this information, getting it out there, and so that everybody has the chance to really get in on this process, which everyone can do. And if there's ways that we can help, that's where we come into play, where Jay Galt has really helped increase the capacity of doing so. If you were going to try to build a business credit profile and really start to earn major credit, it'd take you probably about 3 to 5 years, and you got to look through different vendors. There's three reporting agencies for the business side of the house. There's Equifax, Experian, and Dun & Bradstreet. And when you sign up for business cards, you don't realize that that's not really reporting to these other business stakeholders here. So only about 7% of the business cards that you do will. And if they're not reporting, then you're not building that business credit. So you can be in business for 20 years and still have a credit limitation on your business EIN number of $1,000. And, just for an example, we had worked with somebody that had credit limit of $1,000 and credit score 28. When you do a business credit score, it goes 0 to 100 instead of like up to 850 like the other. But, you want to get to around an 80, which is 720 for a personal. So that's going to get you a lot of access to funding and whatnot. But this person started out with 28 and a limit of 1,000, and they were bringing in about 4 million in revenue. So you're wondering, how does that work? How are these businesses only going to be offered $1,000 when they're bringing in 4 million in revenue? And it's because of this. So, that's the biggest mistake, is just not mistake. It's just not knowing, being in the I don't know stage. At least you can get into the I don't know, and then make your efforts go from there. So, like I said, it could be a 3 to 5 year process to try to figure all that stuff out, figure out which vendors to get. There's kind of 4 tiers of business credit that you can build, and that will get you up into the big cards and the big boys, where, for this person, her trucking company, in 2-3 months, we increased it to about $7,000. So about 7 times the amount credit limit. And then another 3 months, it was doubled, over $15,000. Another 2 to 3 months, $65,000. And by the end of 9 months, she was at a credit score of 96, and she had $700 and almost $50,000 credit limit. And that was what she could use to buy trucks, fuel, all sorts of different things. And it's because we've partnered with a lot of vendors to already know what it takes to apply. The underwriters, that's the biggest thing. A lot of time, if you apply for credit, they'll just send you a message back saying no, and won't tell you why. So we basically go in knowing which ones are going to work for which business, because it's all personalized. It's not a one fit all sort of thing, but we know the underwriting material. So we know that you will get accepted for that business credit. We know that we'll be able to increase it. And as long as you just keep paying the bills on time, and we have a credit analyst that goes with you the entire way, almost does it for you, but puts you into the process as much as you'd like. But again, it lets you focus on running your business instead of being in the business, doing everything yourself. Jane, you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I mean, to caveat off that, it's a team deal. When we say QRF, it's not just Mitchell and Shane here trying to be Rambo and Rambo's buddy. We do.
Right.
You can be Rambo. But is to we have analysts that are exceptional. I mean, there wouldn't be a company anywhere that was looking for a credit analyst that would want. I mean, we have. One thing I can say about Jake Gall is they do have the top 1% of folks, and I'm not going to compare it to maybe some of my previous units and special operations, but it's as close to. There's a lot of the same foundation in the fact that if you attract great talent and you go through the process of really getting that top 1%, you're going to have an amazing organization, and that's what Jake Gall does. And they're there to do the credit. They're there to walk through as far as cash flow mapping. Because here's another thing is, let's say that we go in and we help someone get that credit. And one thing is, I think a lot of veterans appreciate and are probably doing their own work. We follow through. We don't just half-ass it. We don't just do a little bit of it. And in this case, if we just swooped in and got, let's say, a company $200,000 in credit, and maybe that guy only had $1,000, 5 months prior to that. So at that point, that business owner is exceptionally, they're pretty happy. He or she's going to be like, hey, I got all this money to do a lot of great things in my business. So they decide they're going to go out and buy 3 vans. Well, the beauty of this QRF is that we're there every step of the way. And that's when we kind of pump the brakes on them. Like, let's look at this. We have several tools that help us do this, but let's look at this situation and what's going to happen to your cash flow. If you go out today, you got $200,000 in business credit, and you're going to buy these 3 vans. All right, where do those vans get paid off of? Every step of the way, A through Z, let's figure this out. And then after having that consultation with that business owner, they realize, like, if I had just done this, I might be broke in a year. Yeah, you could, very well could have been had you not kind of just let us kind of just do the full thing. Like I said, we're not doing it half-assed. We're there to hold your hand permanently. I mean, this is like a lifetime membership type deal. We're not just in there to do a quick fix or anything like that. We're doing this follow-on care forever, because that's how much we care about our clients, and that matters. That matters a lot. It would be easy, right, to go in there and get them that money and just be like, oh, see, look what we did, and we move on. That's not what we're about at all, because a true QRF is that they're there to rescue these businesses like we are, and see them through, make sure they're successful, because Mitchell hit on it before, and I share the same passion that watching other people be successful and march on is such a great feeling. And it's something that can drive you. It's genuine. It's there's so much passion behind it, especially when we're dealing with fellow veterans. So
all right, so let me ask you a question. Now that we're winding down, I find that veterans are some of the cheapest fucks in the world. They don't want to spend any money, but in order to be successful, like, I didn't realize until about a year ago that I needed a team to do this. I needed a team to do my promotions, my graphics. I needed a team. I couldn't do it all, so I had to spend money. And a lot of veterans are like, they try to hold on, to stretch every single penny into copper wire. You know what I mean? But so what? Because obviously you guys aren't doing this. You love what you're doing, but you also got to feed your 4-year-old baby. You got to eat. You got to live. So how much does this cost for somebody to get involved with this?
Well, it really depends on. We got a couple different options for you, and it depends on what's going to be best for your business. We do have a lifetime option. It's an elite membership, and you talk about getting the best bang for the buck. This is something. No matter what, our core membership is a 1 year, and we guarantee an 80 credit score by the end of that 1 year, and money back guarantee, or we will not stop until we get to that point, so that you are set up. But this lifetime involves more of the cash mapping flow, and the cash mapping software itself is $3,600 worth. This is not what you pay for it. This is what's worthwhile. Concierge service, we got $75,000 going into these people every year. It gives you annual business valuation. So if you're looking to scale, grow, and maybe sell your business, you're getting the valuation valued at $7,000 every year. Also, you can get unlimited credit reports, $1,000 value. Look at your own competitors, or if you're going to hire some people, you can pull their business credit report and see, am I going to get paid by these guys, or how strong their foundation is. You get access to attorneys, MBAs, fractional CFOs. All these sorts of folks are on this team, and along with our SaaS capability, the software as a service is what we guide you through. So that's part of that elite membership. That's a lifetime, and it's the lifetime of the EIN number. So even if you pass it on, you're going to have that. And again, also with passing it on or selling the business, the great thing about having business credit is that when you take 2 restaurants, say, and each of them are valued or bringing in $5 million in revenue. They got the same expenses, same exact things everywhere across the board, except one has $2 million worth of business credit based on their EIN number. The other one has 1,000. Which one do you think investors are going to be looking at? You're going to have 2 to 3 investors looking at the one, and then 50 to 70 looking at the other. And that's where Tim Brown and his Stars Helping Heroes and their celebrities have, hearing rumors of wanting to invest in these good companies. And this is a way to understand which ones are, the best financially fundable.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's what Tim Brown is doing. I mean, you can't say enough about the guy. Heisman Trophy winner for the greatest college in the history of the world, University of Notre Dame. So, you can't.
Oh boy, here we go.
So hey, after that USC game, I'm riding high this week. So, but in all seriousness, the fact that Tim reached out and selected Mitchell and I couldn't be more humbled by. I such an honor, and he's really tasked us with. He saw the potential in us before we even seen the full potential of this particular opportunity, and it is full force. It's even folks that out of the gate they don't want to part with that that fee or anything else is going on. But as we sit down there and do the consult with you and show you, I mean, there's ways to there's ways that will soon be capable of getting instant liquid capital up to $100,000 or potentially up to $20,000 even for folks that don't have business credit. So there's so many avenues of approach that what we are really after here is just call us on the radio, right? Call the QRF in and let Mitchell and I sit down with you and show you what we can do for you. And again, it is coming full heart. I mean, obviously, yeah, there's fees involved and everything else, but we're specifically picking this niche because it's near and dear to our hearts. And if anyone's going to be taken care of, it's going to be our brothers and sisters in arms, and that we couldn't be happier about that.
So then, how do we find you? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mitchell.
I was just going to say, and the fees really are great, and there's financing available to those that have a tough time separating their pennies. But we don't want to give the cart before the horse, because there's so much that we haven't even covered about how great this suite actually is, and I want everyone to see the full force of it, before doing so.
So then, how do they find you? How do we get more information? How do we support your mission?
So I've got my email right there. You can contact me directly there. It's mkieffer@jgalt.io. And I can point you to where my calendar's at. And we can set up a time to do a quick Zoom meeting. And, if you're a company that wants to scale and grow and possibly sell off, you're a perfect candidate. If it doesn't resonate with you, we can also end that call within 10 minutes, but just getting on that Zoom call, we can present some things for you. We like to learn a little bit about your business as well. That's key number one, finding what your needs are. Being a data scientist, I'm all about doing, COA, course of action, and business case analyses and stuff like that. So I like to get as much information as I can before I suggest, things that may work well for them, because the different packages might, be adjusted based on that. But again, we are going to have a specialized experience for each business. The vendors, like we've got 500 to 700 of them that we partner with. We know which ones to go with for which industries and things of that nature. Yeah, contact us via my email. And unless Shane, did you provide anything else?
No, absolutely. That's where I want to drive this train completely is if you're out there and you're ready to put us in and sit down and have that consultation. Consultation's free. We're going to sit there and not only give you that consultation on what we can do, but we're going to guide you on what you need to do for that. If you pass on us and you're going to try to do this on your own, we're not just withholding this information. We're trying to help our fellow veterans figure this out. We can do it quicker.
The gold nuggets.
Yeah, absolutely. And reaching out to Mitchell. I mean, we're tag teaming this. He's the data guy. I'm the psychology guy that's going to really, get what makes you tick and motivate you through the whole way and get you all, amped up for what's to come, because it's life-changing. It's completely life-changing. And we're going to get the most reward there is by helping you and your business grow. We know what that does for you. We know what it does for your family. It's a no-brainer. And we're just asking for the opportunity to sit down with us and kind of let us walk you through what we can do and how the QRF here for Jay Galt can rescue small businesses.
I love it. So, guys, make sure that, like we're in the military, I know that if my tank broke down, I'm calling my Cav Scouts in. Boys, come get me out. I need help, because when your tank breaks down, all of a sudden you're at 11 Bravo again. And sometimes you need those guys to come in and to save your ass. These guys are willing to come in and save your ass if you're in trouble, but also help make sure that you don't get in trouble the first time. So Shane, brother, I love you guys. I'm so grateful that we finally got a chance to get together.
I love it, man. Thanks. I always appreciate our talks and look forward to seeing everything that you do. I'm proud of you, Brent.
I love you. Mitchell, it was a pleasure meeting you. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get in touch with you guys, because I'm always willing to learn. I'm the ultimate knowledge guy. I love to learn. So I'm going to be picking your brains left and right. I love you guys.
Love you too, bro.
I'm excited to get a new knife for Christmas. And I think, Shane, you said you were going to buy me one, right?
Yeah, I think that was the deal.
No, but I'm looking forward to reading your book too, Richard.
All right, guys, I love you. And guys, as you know, VM Nation, that I'm a big Joel Osteen guy, and something that he always says that I say end my show with every time is, we have a choice. We can either be the victim or we can be the victor. So guys, make sure that you're no longer playing the victim game and start becoming the victor. I love you guys. Make sure you check us out. This episode is going to be on verticalmomentumpodcast.com. That's where you get the hats, the t-shirts, the coffee. Everything is there. And we also got some big guests coming up. Mr. Mickey Rourke coming up. The drummer for Def Leppard's coming up. So you're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you subscribe. All right, guys, I love you. Have an amazing week, and I can't wait to see what you guys do. And when you see Tim, tell him I love him, because he's the reason I became a fan of Raider Nation.
Right on.
Will do. All right. Thanks again,
guys,
brother.
Have an amazing week. And guys, remember, vertical momentum. The only way to go is up. I love you guys.